we have 4 questions up here. And we have markers right there. So for the next 3 to 4 minutes, if you'd like to get up and just add ideas to any of these, then please do so. This is kind of a quick brainstorm to see where we are, what we're thinking.
And as soon as you're going to pass the marker to a friend when you're finished.
We do have limited marker range.
Markers. It's all good.
And I'm sure a few more people will be stepping in, so this just gives us...
Bitches. Yeah, you got it. Tom, it's the charges, all cycle, shoot, you need the presto.
Second pick. Great. So, how's it go?
Yeah, the way you said it, they say no spray home.
Did you say?
Do you need a markers? Anyone need a marker?
Stop it, do it.
I hate you.
Sorry, I need that French. Okay, so.
I will wait here. Thank you. Does anyone need a marker?
We're just going to take 2 more minutes. That's 2 more minutes. Because part of this session is we're taking a field trip today. I think everybody brought your permission slip.
I feel like this is like pen and touch.
I'm having permission to take these consenting adults out of the room.
And we don't need chaperones, right?
Exactly. I don't know how many of you teach high school, but when my high schoolers turn 18, I let them sign their own permission slip, and they're so excited about it. It's like, when you turn 18, how much do you really get? But it's like, you are an adult.
I remember. You don't need any
permission
like, but your own.
Right, and I'm like,
Exactly.
Now be sure to tell your mom you're going to be late. I don't need your mom to call, but yes, you can sign your own permission.
I remember I was working at a summer stock and I called my mom when I wanted to eat antibiotics and I was like 23. I was working at a summer stock and they like called my parents. And my mom like, she's like 23 years old. Why are you calling me?
What were they?
To give me antibiotics for the summer stock and I had like a sign. I had something was wrong, but they like called my mom to ask her if she would give me antibiotics. I was at the summer camp that like upstate New York. And I called my mom. I was like, I'm like 23 years old. Why are you calling my mom?
That was crazy. Did you say that before they called?
I did that, but you can call her if you want. I mean, the doctor.
Okay, see. You may respect.
We've done in the last you're brilliant.
All right, if we can get everybody to finish your thought and take a seat.
Oh yeah. I miss this. Thanks. Thank you, thank you. Hi.
I am Dale, and I teach theater at the Dr. Susan S. McKinney Secondary School of the Arts in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. It's a 4-year program in a high school setting where I teach all of my students from 9th through 12th grade. Focusing primarily on musical theater is where we're moving, but the point being I don't have different kids every semester. You can?
Hi, I'm Amanda McFee. I'm the Director of Arts for District 75. So it is wonderful to work with you. So work citywide, all boroughs, all art forms, and I'm excited to talk about building props on
Yeah. So what we are doing today, we are going to start with like some of this brainstorming, just talk about like what is the purpose of crops in a theater classroom. Also costumes as props, meaning not just, oh, you're in this dress, but what costumes do we use? And that can help get kids to a level of performance. And then we are going to leave the building and we're going to go up to 21st, where there is a store called Abracadabra. It used to be located on Broadway at about 11th, and then it closed, and my world shattered because that's where I went for things. And then it recently reopened on 21st, and it just has tons of usable costumes and support props to go with those kind of costumes. And for the most part, they're really affordable. So it's just about going, getting out of the building. It's June, y'all. My shows have gone up. I've got my self-assessments. So it's like, we could have an insightful conversation about, like, practice, or we could go shopping. I voted for shopping. I love it. And it's really just about getting over there and getting ideas and kind of flowing and just saying, yeah, this is a great resource for when I need it.
I was going to say, the biggest part of today is really to get your brains thinking about how can I set this up in September. So there's been a lot of discussion this year on props. So Dale has made an amazing handout about like just thinking of ways to organize your probably closet and your stock, but then thinking about practical uses and what to get and what not to get so that you can reuse things. We're going to talk a little bit about access, and then we're going to go do some brainstorming on site.
All right. So really quickly, just looking at what we have up here. What do we need to have available in our classrooms to help students explore acting? I see a couple of people putting open space, props, costumes, which I assume gets a little bit more specific over there. Do you want to highlight some of the things set on that one?
Yeah, we got skirts, hats, capes, wigs, blocks, tables, chairs, furniture, scarves, hand props, puppets, clowns.
Great. And then, so where do we get these things? I see a lot of people like community donations. This is great. You are not asking for nice things. You're asking for practical things that you can use to help your students explore acting. So just ask. Like, beginning of the year, send something home with the kids. It's syllabus. It's just a welcome letter, whatever. And at the bottom, our department is currently accepting donations, and kind of list a few things people might think of. When I look at both my prop and costume closets at school, the history of my last 15 years as a human, I got married. So our old pots and pans are absolutely at school because we got nice ones. The ones at school don't need to be nice. They need to have a handle. So you see, like, yes, don't throw things away. Don't necessarily give those things to Goodwill. Give them to your school and just have it. Amazon, Teacher's Choice, materials for the arts, PTA, great. In terms of that Teacher's Choice, I've been at 2 schools in the city. Each time that I arrived, it was a closet just full of game stuff. Yeah. Like, little like softballs we can throw back and forth, or little traffic cones or whatever, but nothing you could actually use to do scene work. Mm-hmm. I would allocate that $600 that we get every year, the $750, or it'd be like, this year we're doing this. Yeah. Like, we are spending it on this. Also, lay out to your principal that if they have a P card, you are going to get so much more from Amazon for the same amount of money than you're possibly going to get from ShopDeal.
Mm-hmm. And there's a way to sign up on Amazon. You can get a tax exempt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You have to like send on your tax exempt form. It does take 2 or 3 days.
What do you got a P for?
The principal's credit. Oh.
Yeah, like they have that, and then they're reimbursed for it, or it comes out of the school fund that way. But talk to them about it and just lay out for them. I need a set of living room furniture. From Shop DOE, I can get couch. for this $750.
Yeah.
From IKEA, I could get a couch, 2 chairs, 2 side tables, and the coffee table. And they're like, oh. So then, how do we organize these materials so they're accessible when we need them? Label containers. Closets, lockers, prop tables, computer.
The computer I just put up there, we're using that organization.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about this? Yeah.
It's impossible to organize everything after a decade.
Yes.
You have to start carrying away.
It's true. But a 4th grader is not ready to learn viewpoints. A 3rd grader is not going to understand what is my objective. They might get it a little bit, but their brains aren't there. And even a 17-year-old, it can be a little abstract. Just what do you want? Little side bit, if you teach high school, David Mamet wrote about it as always identifying your objective. What do you want for the other person to do? Opened it up for them because it gives them something tangible. And they're like, well, I want her to cry. Okay, then make her cry. Instead of just, I want revenge. It's a beautiful little thing. But what helps kids connect to a scene, to a performance, is to be busy on stage. Having them sit, 2 kids, go up and do your scene. They are going to each put a chair like this, and they're going to sit, and they're going to say their lines. Use the furniture in the room. Desks, tables, chairs. This set of desks over here that we have set up is your kitchen. And we know that because we're putting a lot of props there that make it a kitchen. These 2 desks that are pushed together is your dining room table. That's where you eat. And we know that because we're covering that with fabric, so it's a tablecloth, and you have places to put plates, and we have silverware, and you have all this stuff. Over here, we've got 3 chairs to become a couch because that is how theater people do it. And we have a rehearsal cube next to you, so that is your side table. And then we have 1 more chair. Now you have an entire living space. Now let's exist in this space. But that is not about how do you choose props for a certain show. That is about stepping back and saying, in order to do scenes, what can I build that students just have access to resources? So, I'm really excited by going shopping, so I'm going a little fast. If you have questions, please feel free to ask.
He's very excited.
Excited.
Actually, is that take or that from Massachusetts and then the last.
They weren't good. Yeah.
Ooh.
No. It's gonna be great.
All right. So, these are pictures of my prop closet at school. I am a Virgo. I am a Virgo.
It's like my art left.
I am a Virgo that is raised by 2 Scorpios, so I organize to win. Oh, you think your props closet is organized? It's all bins. And the reason it's all bins is because I don't want to set aside props for 4th period. I want 4th, 5th, and 6th period to all have access to all of these props whenever they need them. So I find the smaller the bin, the better, because it means you get more specific. Instead of just being like medical. Well, if you have a lot of pill bottles and organizers, and you also have like a stethoscope and make medical and medicine. Because what that does is as the bins get smaller, they are easier to find stuff in, and the kids know where they got it, so they know where to put it back. And you literally only have to be a domineering police officer about this for like 2 weeks. And you just have to, like, Devon, can you please put that back in law enforcement? And of course he's going to breathe out and roll his eyes. But then they do it, and you start to build this culture where they understand everybody uses these props. You're performing your scene tomorrow. When you come in and it's time to perform your scene, do you want to know where everything is? Then you have to do your part to make sure the other classes know that too. And the more specific it is, the more organized it is. When they are first freshmen, we open these doors and it looks like this. Everything about this organizational system says these things are important, they are organized, and we take care of them. Mm-hmm. That message is sent by how you set it up and how you have them maintain it. Obviously, it's going to get a little bit more cluttered throughout the year, but don't let it get crazy, because then it looks like we don't take these things serious. Did you have a question?
This is my school's first year having theater, so you don't have a lot of stuff.
Right? So that's what we are getting into. A few places to start, as it says right there with the bullet points. Places that you might start building a prop there. The dollar store. You do not want any glass in your props department. Right. You don't want porcelain dishes. But you also don't want paper plates, because that says it doesn't really matter. Go to the dollar store and get some good plastic plates, like 6 of them, that you can reuse. Get good quality plastic cups that these are our cups. It's not their fault that they're in the 7th grade and they bump the table and the glass falls down. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's their fault if they do it on purpose, but if they don't, like, things get bumped in rehearsal. Don't ask for there to be broken glass all over. If you want glasses for a play, great. Keep those somewhere else. But for your basic rehearsal props, you want for it to be durable. And you go to the dollar store, you're getting good plastic stuff. Each plate is what, $2.99? But now you can do kitchen and dining scenes. Things from home, thrift stores. Thrift stores are great. Literally, the street. Mm-hmm. The number of things I have taken out of a box on a stoop because, we could use that. You gotta be scrappy, folks.
Thursdays are great days for that.
You know,
Thursdays are furniture.
Theater is a glamorous art form as we dig through the trash. And then donations from the school community. But I would say, if you have nothing, start by thinking about these categories and saying, which 2 things from each category gets me the most, legwork? Yes, I would love to have fake food and have all these pots and pans and a tea kettle and some mixing spoons and all that. But if I have 1 plastic mixing bowl and 1 wooden spoon, I can turn those desks into a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then build from there. But instead of saying, I'm just going to do a kitchen, well, not all of your scenes take place there. The other thing is, I don't know if any of you have this, for high schools, many moons ago, there was a textbook. It's called Theater Projects. I still have it. It was in my classroom as I moved in. The one thing I like about Theater Projects book is there is a section in it that is just a collection of scenes. 2 men, 2 women, 1 man, 1 woman, big monologues, and there's a class set, so it's like everybody can just access this. So when I start building a props closet, I say, well, every year, students do Monty Python's Dead Parrot because it's in the book. Is a birdcage a necessary prop in most classrooms? No. Is it in mine? Well, considering I'm watching Dead Parrot 4 times a year in 3 different classes, yeah. The birdcage is important. So think about the materials you're using. If you're at an elementary school level and you're working more with maybe some fairy tale stuff or whatever, it's far more important that you have a cape than that you have a teacup. Right? But then you build and you suddenly get to have all of it over time. This back page is ideas for different areas. None of this is definitive. This is kind of what I have in my closet. Now, again, over years. Two things I want to point out. In terms of costume, yeah, you may have done the Wiz and you may have a great Dorothy costume, but you're not going to use that costume ever again until you ease on down the road in 10 years. Sure, set it aside. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking capes. The power a cape has to transform a middle or high school student into a kid playing is amazing. Hats, gloves, suit jackets, just that they can take on, put on, take off, that they're using. A-line skirts with elastic waistbands so they fit multiple people. And get yourself a medium, a large, an extra large. Have 5 of them. But, you want to look like you're in a doll's house? Great. This A-line skirt is going to make you feel so much more like a Victorian woman than not having one. It's not about creating the reality of production. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about what is in your classroom so your kids are practicing in a way that opens up their... So in terms of props, capes, aprons, just having these things that they can use. The other thing to talk about, if you're working at a performing arts high school, you cannot perform scenes from the Western canon without the availability of guns. Yeah. So we have weaponry here. Do I have weaponry at school? I absolutely do. Do I have it in this props closet? Oh my God, I'm not stupid or looking to get fired. It is in a separate place, actually in another room. The students know I have swords, I have knives, I have guns. They know what can happen if you get caught in school walking around with a pretend gun. Like, that is made very clear. They know that sometimes they rehearse in the hallway, but just so we have enough floor space, you do not rehearse in the hallway with one of the gun props. If you have a gun prop, you are in this room where I can see you. And there is a sign in and sign out sheet. Oh, you need 2 guns because you're doing this scene? Great. Sign them out.
You would ask
Sign them. It just...
and add the caveat of parent permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it makes them very important. And don't put your weapons in your props closet because, I'm sorry, it's rude to ask a 7th grade boy not to pick up the sword. It's that.
I don't think I've ever met a boy, period, who doesn't want to touch the sword.
Right. It's like, is that your prop? No, but it's a sword. Hey, just...
One I had to deal with.
Exactly. So just
let this bunch of...
they know it's there. Put a sign up that says that you have them, so it's there. But don't just put it there if you don't want it to be played with. However, this kind of weaponry should be taken very seriously, and probably don't need it in a 1st grade classroom, although who doesn't love a good sword? But in a high school program, you probably do, but how you handle it determines how successful it is. Questions about anything? This is really here just to get you brainstorming and thinking, how can I create somewhere that we're not just playing games, or they're not just sitting on 2 chairs and saying that's a scene? What can be in their hands? I was asked last time, like, fake food. How do you use fake food in scenes? Okay, you have a character. They're creating a salad. You have fake fruits and vegetables. Okay, go to this desk. This is the sink. You're washing them. Here's some paper towels. Dry them off. I mean, they're not even using real water, but it gives their hands something to do and an activity to buy into that isn't just like, okay, here, let's wad up some paper. That's apples. No, have 3 apples. Because that frees them up to be more imaginative. I'm going to give you one other handout, which is kind of the same thing for building a costume stock, but I'm not going to talk about it, but just as a resource for you.
Oh, perfect. So I'm going to go through this like rapid fire. But I don't have enough for everybody, but we're going to share. So if you can just disperse them. These are, if people wanted to leave this real, but we're going to share with our neighbors. So one of the things that we had talked about briefly at the start of the session today was really thinking about what is the use of props? Why are they important? How do we use them outside of just a formal production? Like, how are these giving benefit to practice and understanding the actual
Can we have one of the packets to share between everybody?
Yes, we'd like you to have and share rockets. Amazing. So
Another one over here.
This is good. This
They would have over here, sir.
Oh, good. Okay. So one of the things that we really want to think about is that when we're working with the students with IEPs, when we're working with earlier, like with children in younger grades, a lot of times abstraction is very difficult for students to understand. They have gone lengths to even recreate the scope and sequence for math and science because certain concepts are so abstract. They need to be taught at a later age, right? So a lot of abstract thoughts come after a student is like 10, 11, 12 years old. It's like 6th, 7th grade, right? That we're still grappling with the true understanding of abstract concepts. And so when you're asking someone to, what is your purpose? Set this scene, and you don't have anything for them. Sometimes, like, unless they've had a lot of experience with creative play, it's really hard to get enrolled. But how do we use these as a benefit? So one of the biggest things that you want to start thinking about is how are you introducing your prop? Like, how are you intentionally introducing this prop so that students have an understanding of it? They're using it for what it's actually supposed to be used for, and they're used to having something in their hands because there has to be intentionality behind it. There's a lot of times that you'll have someone come into your classroom from an outside organization and they're like, props in your hands on day one. That can be very confusing for a lot of children. And so because you're practicing acting skills, but you're adding in this extra piece. So it's thinking about that beautiful harmony. And so one of the things that I really wanted to touch on today is thinking about accessible and sensory-friendly props. So when we think about this, it's really about understanding the student in your class and understanding what their needs are. And so when we think about accessible props, if they're working on fine and gross motor dexterity, and you have props that are pencils, long sticks, a spoon handle for your kitchen scene, maybe a student needs a grip because their grasp is not tight enough to hold that actual material. So what is something that you can simply do? You can put a tennis ball on the end of it. You can put those squish balls that you get everywhere, like Special Olympics passes them out. You get them at like every store for like a quarter, or like I feel like they're in every swag guide. I have like boxes of these things, like those squish balls. Not the ones that you throw, but like the ones that are foam. You can literally stick a razor blade in it, cut it off, put it directly on the end of something. And it really improves the grasp for a student that's working on that. Something else that you can use, there's something that are easy grips that can be attached to something, and they're also weighted. So if a student is working with muscle tonality and they're working with fine and gross motor movement, like really thinking about maybe this spoon needs to be in this direction, so I'm going to put this easy grip on it, and it's going to help the student know what direction their arm needs to move to be placed in there. Sometimes we do have students that are working on body movement with an occupational therapist or physical therapist, and we need to think about what is the greatest barrier to the student accessing the prop, picking up the prop, holding the prop, using the prop, and what are we changing about that tool or adding to that tool so that the student can use it? Thinking about Velcro can be your absolute best friend. Velcro can be used to attach to, so say I use the example of a maraca, but something that shapes or something that's moving, that it can be Velcroed to that object and just simply slipped over a child's hand. Obviously, you're going to always ask permission, because you don't want to just put something on a kid. But really thinking about how is this going to attach and be in their hand if they need that type of support. Velcro is always an amazing thing if you have students who are wheelchair users or students that use a wheelchair. Having zippers and buttons can be very painful to them if they're sitting in a chair. So thinking about Velcro, something that slips over the front of the student. Or if a student's doing like a scene change, maybe having something go over their head is very overstimulating for a child. So is it something that you can just Velcro the back of a shirt or a dress or something that they're putting on? So really thinking about knowing your students well, how this is going to work if students have mobility, accessibility needs, right? So moving forward, when you're thinking about props, there's just on the next page is some examples. So this student is carrying a buzzer. There was a question and answer in the act, and they're in there in the audience. So one of the things that student they didn't have the dexterity yet to hold and grasp the object to pass it out and have people stamp to say yes or no in the audience. So we simply put a pipe, no, the inside of a paper towel roll. I was going for it, and I was like, why can't I think of the word? The inside of a paper towel roll, or, all of the things that you get in wrapping paper, just like hot glue to the bottom of it so that they can hold it and walk around. Like very simple accommodations that you can make. Sometimes if you're working with students who use wheelchairs, it can be something that you can ask them permission. It is an extension of their body.
Yes.
So making sure there's consent, but it can be attached in some way to their wheelchair to support if they need that extra level of mobility support. When thinking about props, you can also use the prop to your advantage. Sometimes students have a challenge with awareness of space. They're working on where they need to be. And a poly spot isn't really working out so well yet. We're still learning what they're for. But you can have the prop be an area where the student understands where to go, right? It can be their marker to move across stage. So it creates some sort of visual boundary for the student, where this costume actually wrapped around the entirety. It was on the floor. They pulled it up. It was a giant circle. And then they were in character as soon as they got there. But one of the biggest things before we scoot out is we saw Dill's incredibly organized prop closet. And it made my heart leap. And so, but thinking about some of our early learners, both, in age and cognitively, maybe we need some pictures that help support that. So simply adding to those bins some sort of image that dictates what's inside of it. If you're art on a cart, this is a great way to organize and just have it in baggies that you can put, maybe baggies are easier than bins on your cart, totally up to you. Yeah. And so this also acts as a marker so that the student can match and find. So you're like, I need you to go get clothespins for the seam. And the student is able to independently navigate to the prop closet and find what they need to. There's just some more examples upon that here where just how you can organize your materials. On the next page, you can also do color coding. Color coding is great. We're working on these scenes. There's your scripts are in a color, the props that you need are in another color. And so you're able to just, you're the red team, go get your materials. Can he really reduce a lot of anxiety for students and be able to find what they need to find to start the project, which is really great. Because what we want to do is we really want to reduce anxiety in the classroom so that students can actively participate and navigate.
And we're saying the closet, but,
It can
IKEA has just shelves that are built for little fabric bins. There's 9 of them or 12 of them. Great. Having 12 categories is better than having a box where everything is.
Right.
And to do that, you're literally giving up 4 feet by 1.5 feet of your classroom, which is, I would argue, absolutely worth it. Maybe there are fewer books in classrooms now. Maybe your school just has a floating around extra bookcase. Yeah. I have on that one form, $32.99, 20 clear bins. Just put them on a bookcase. It all works the same. It's about how do kids find stuff and understand what they're using.
And then sometimes too, students need an added accessibility piece where it may be the picture that you're adding on that, and that's something that comes on. You just like Velcro it on and off, and it can be something that helps you to help them and navigate. So if anybody wants to take a copy of this, you're more than welcome. But we're going to take a field trip.
All right. There are, there is
Of course.
the big reason we're taking this field trip is this is kind of like a Halloween store, although it's nicer. But it's open all year. God knows we all love a good Halloween store on November 1st when everything is 80% off.
Yes.
We all love that, but we don't necessarily know what we're going to need next September as we go in on November the 1st. But this place is always open, and it always has those things to be looking at and working with. And also, again, if you're going into a Halloween store on November 1st, it's not necessarily about specific shows. It's about, I am getting this costume for a doctor because now I have a doctor's jacket. And really even then shopping for how do I get the most mileage out of every piece that I'm buying. So we are going to take the elevators down. When we go outside, we're going to be just going up. It's the same block except on 21st.
Oh, God. I'm so running.
There are levels. I encourage you to go to the upper levels and see what they got up there and stuff too. You're really just looking right now, ideas, whatever you want to do. We'll make sure that everyone knows when we're leaving.
Chest hair. Nice.
Too fun.
This is dark.
Yeah, I'm Boris Gumboldt here.
The 18th century. Who's the son? Basic. Spirit. Who's the son?